This is a video in response to a recent Cutlery Lover video, which I'm a little embarrassed to say is actually in response to another video. But don't let that fool you. This video will stand on its own as far as like its data and whatever, and I'm not sure if I'm going to post it as a response to Jeff's video or not. What it's based on is an Oregon resident recently had her handgun permit revoked due to her being prescribed medical marijuana. Now, the question on the floor was, is that right? You know, how inclusive or exclusive are the Bill of Rights towards specifically somebody's right to carry a firearm? I would say because you have municipalities and things of that nature, history has proven that the Bill of Rights are not inclusive at all. And it's one of the topics that's brought up in the Federalist Papers and also in the Anti-Federalist Papers, in that they were concerned originally that if certain rights were enumerated, they would at that point become exclusive or be misinterpreted as privileged. In the case of a person prescribed cannabis or medical marijuana, however the term is, I could care less whether or not they have a firearm or not. And honestly, because the debate goes back and forth, I could care less whether or not the permit for handgun ownership is revoked. What's interesting about it, when I think about the possible spirit of why it would be a good idea to revoke a person's gun carrying privilege, I use that term very loosely and I don't see it as such, so don't be mistaken, you keyboard jack-offs. Okay. What a pain in the ass that I have to clarify after statements like that. To have that privilege revoked, I could see possibly an argument for that, where it would make sense is you wouldn't want to enable, say, a drug dealer to be armed in the commission of their lawlessness. Now, in 2 seconds flat, that process, we can debunk it by saying, well, a person already in the act of lawlessness would already be breaking the law. And then you could counter back with it, well, that would just be one more charge that could be brought against that person, just increasing their penalty and punishment. And the debate would go on. Should a person who is of limited mental capacity or limited age be restricted from ownership of weapons and devices of that sort? And is it the state's responsibility to decide the guideline of that level? There could be cases made on both ends, actual case precedents over the responsible nature of people of a certain age and of people of a certain mental capacity. However, if it were in defense of our nation, the rules seem to change quite a bit. A person with parental approval can go into the military at the age of 17 and be issued the absolute latest of military hardware. You could have a 17-year-old manning a 20 millimeter on the side of a Spectre gunship. So it becomes funky, and then you have to get back into what's the motivation. If the motivation, and these are real forces against us, is to just simply restrict firearms because a person doesn't like firearms, then they're going to take any opportunity that they can get, regardless of the means. So a person who, say, is prescribed medical marijuana, and medical marijuana is actually at this time still against federal law, then they can use that as, well, this person is in the commission of violating a federal law, da-da-da-da-da. Same thing goes for people who have been diagnosed with mental illness. Well, if a person has shown diminished mental capacity, so therefore they should not be allowed to own a firearm. But I would venture to say those rules would change if the enemy were knocking on our door. And none of us would have a problem with that. Um, any of the Bill of Rights, I think people quickly fall into the trap. Even those for it see those rights as exclusive, and in that they're enumerated, then they're actually privileged, and that would be a mistake. And it goes along with the debate of what is our nation? Is our nation a nation of freedom with guaranteed rights enumerated, or is our nation a nation of laws with restrictions that keep our rights preserved? So the debate will rage on, and I'm actually encouraged by Cutlery Lover bringing up this subject to his younger audience. That's really cool that he does things like vote and speak about issues that are, I think, very important. And to do that and introduce it to a younger audience, I think, is really good. So there you go. There's my video on the subject. So y'all take care.